First things first, let's go ahead and learn how to use Terraform, an infrastructure as code tool, to deploy an Azure SQL database for MySQL. Now I'm in this GitHub repository here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this directory called SQL Server Creation. And if you'd like to take a look at this code, you absolutely can. Just go to this GitHub URL right here. Feel free to fork the code, feel free to use the code. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to open up the main.tf. We're going to take a look at that. The first thing that we're going to see is we have some instructions here, but we'll take a look at that in just a second. First, you're going to specify your provider, which is going to be Azure RM because we're interacting with Azure. Next, you're going to be setting up the Azure MySQL server, and we're going to be using that resource. So we're passing in a name, location, resource group, all with variables. We're going to see that in just a moment. The administrator login and password for MySQL, the SKU storage version information for MySQL, and then finally some properties and configurations for auto grow, backup retention for the database, geo redundancy, infrastructure encryption, SSL enforcement, and public network access. Then we're going to scroll down here, we're going to see a resource for the MySQL firewall. This is so if you want to, you can interact with the firewall from your local computer. You're simply just going to pass in your public IP address. So now let's go ahead and open up the variables. And we're going to have a few variables in here, the DB name, RG name, location, password, and IP address. And they are all strings. But notice on line 16 and 21 for the password and IP address, I'm passing it in as sensitive. So that means the output of the password and the IP address will not be shown in the output for Terraform, any logs, nothing like that. It's going to be completely secure. Next, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open up my TFRs here. And what we're going to see is the DB name, the resource group name, and the location. Now you may be wondering at this point, well, how about the secrets? That's going to be a separate file, secrets.tfrs. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open that up. And as we can see, I'm passing in a password for my MySQL server. And then I'm also going to be passing in a public IP address, which I'm not going to be showing here, but feel free to just type in your public IP address. Now you see here that it's grayed out. And the reason why that the secrets.tfrs is grayed out is because if I open up my gitignore file, I'm specifying it in here saying, hey, I don't want my secrets committed to source control. Why? Because I don't want any passwords, public IP addresses, anything like that inside of a public GitHub repository for security purposes. So with that, let's go ahead and actually run our code now. So I'm going to open up the terminal. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to cd into SQL Server Creation. And I'm going to run Terraform init, which is going to initialize our environment for us. And it's going to bring down the provider for Azure RM, which is going to end up being an executable. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to run Terraform plan. And as you can see here, I have some instructions because this is going to be a little bit different than the typical Terraform configuration. So by default, terraform.tfrs will be picked up, but we want to specify another variable file for our secrets. So I'm going to be using Terraform plan -var-file equals secrets.tfrs. And with that, it's going to pass in our secrets. So now let's go ahead and run this plan. I'm going to click enter here, and this is going to collect all the information for us. The Terraform plan is going to go through the syntax, make sure everything's correct, make sure we're not missing anything. And as we can see here, the plan is to add 2, change 0, and destroy 0. So I'm going to go back, and instead of Terraform plan, I'm going to do Terraform apply. Go ahead and I'm going to click enter here. Okay, and as we can see, the plan is still the same, add 2, change 0, destroy 0. I'm going to click yes. And now our deployment is going to run. It will take a few minutes, so feel free to pause the video and come back when yours is complete. And as we can see here, that took about 3 minutes and 10 seconds to create the SQL server and the firewall rule. And that's how you can create a SQL server fully automated with Terraform. Now, if you want to clean up your environment, you can simply hit the up arrow, and instead of apply, you can go ahead and you can type in destroy. And as we can see, the plan is to add 0, change 0, and destroy 2. We're going to click yes. And after a few moments, your environment will be cleaned up.